Cold world, streets frosted, the system's a furnace, burning dreams, ashes scattered. A cold service, they label as numbers, a barcode existence. Smile in our face, but they snakes in the distance. Promised us ladders, but handed us ditches. We fight for survival, they stacking their riches. No fear of the people, no trust in the state. They puppeteer the strings, control our fate. They use us, abuse us, then toss us away. But I'll never bow down, not today, not today. Politicians lie, their tongues drip venom. Behind closed doors, they plot our condemning. Feed us their slogans, hollow and cheap. While they feast on the harvest, we barely reap. Divide us by color, by class, by creed. While their pockets swell fat, we bleed and we bleed. They built the walls, we carry the weight. But we ain't their cattle, we won't take the bait. No fear of the people, no trust in the state. They puppeteer the strings, control our fate. They use us, abuse us, then toss us away. But I'll never bow down, not today, not today. No fear of the people, no trust in the state. They puppeteer the strings, control our fate. They use us, abuse us, then toss us away. But I'll never bow down, not today, not today. Surveillance eyes watch, big brother's disguise. Freedom's a concept, they monetize. The news spins tales, a spider's web trap. Truth buried deep under layers of crap. I'm dodging the lies, ducking the snares. A lone wolf growling, I'm done with their prayers. You don't have no fear of the people, no trust in the state. They puppeteer the strings, control our fate. They use us, abuse us, then toss us away. But I'll never bow down, not today, not today. No fear of the people, no trust in the state. They puppeteer the strings, control our fate. They use us, abuse us, then toss us away. But I'll never bow down, not today, not today.
Not like that, and be breaking. It's so play. English way. Hey, they're done.
And ladies and gentlemen, patriots, privacy purveyors, welcome to the dark side of the podcast. And thank you. So yeah, we're kind of wrapping up our week here on Thursday. We've been live a lot. I actually did a space today. I opened it up. I was talking to Crypto Sailor. And and Gatican dropped in, of all things. You remember him? He used to be a thing. He did me a hell of a favor for what it's worth. He popped in, he downloaded the app on Android, and he liked it. I mean, right off the bat, he said, "Yeah, that's awesome." He's going, "Which one do you got there, Belle? Which one is that? Hold it up for the camera. Let everybody see."
That one's Wesley.
Yeah. So, which
He's
one?
Being a little needy.
Yeah, well, I think I probably know why. So the channel mascot, Vizzini, is no longer with us. He ran into some issues. He ran into some complications. He didn't get stepped on, nothing like that. But yeah, he's not with us anymore. So Belle's feeling a little bit blue. So if you could do her a favor, send her some warm wishes. I'm certain that she would appreciate it. But she did the right thing. She was there with him all the way, even when they said, you know what, this animal is suffering, and the best thing we can do for it is ease its pain. And Belle was right there the whole time, petting him as he went on to the Rainbow Bridge. So if you could send her some warm wishes, she's a little bit blue about it. I'm sure she would appreciate it. Anything you want to say about that, Belle, or you just want to hand it back? I know I'm not expecting much out of you tonight. I know you're not in the mood.
You know, he's God, okay. He was always a character. I mean,
oh, that character is one word. That thing crawled up my goddamn fatigues. Next thing I know, I got a rat shoulder. It scared the shit out of me. I was like, what the fuck? I mean, it went so fast. You didn't have time. You don't even have time to get it. I remember from the Beastmaster movie when those two ferrets killed Rip Torn. I remember. I was there. It was a very influential movie for me. So yeah, they're so fast. You just can't get to them. But he was something.
He was trying to figure out how to learn how to just sit on a shoulder in exchange for treats, but yeah.
Nah, that was not really his thing. He's not much for sitting around. So
he managed to climb up there though.
Yeah, he could get up there. It's just but I always got so nervous. I was like, he's gonna jump, and he did, and he would jump, and he would fall 6 feet to the ground, just kind of tuck and roll into a little puffy ball, and just shake it off, like just walk away. It's like things are made of pudding. Everything in there is just pure pudding. I mean, you try to pick up a ferret, and it's just two sides going down the middle of your hand. It's
to give Scott credit and Vizzini, Vizzini usually would jump off of Scott's back onto the comfy chair in the studio.
Yeah, he knew where he wanted to be, and he'd hit that chair and just curl into a little puffy ball. And I was always worried that my dog Harvey was going to see him and say, "Oh, that's one of my toys," and go pick him up. And I think he'd have probably just went for the ride, because Harvey's not mean. He didn't chew up his toys. He would have just carried it around. I think Vizzini would have gotten a kick out of that. But now
Vizzini was more interested in Harvey than Harvey was in him.
Yeah, and that was always kind of the funny. My dog sucks, by the way. He sucks. He's terrifying. You see him, and you're just like, oh my God, look at that thing. But then you get to know him a little bit, and you're like, yeah, he's a big marshmallow. I mean, the dog is nothing. And when you got ferrets that are like chasing him out of his sleeping spot, the dog is 85 pounds. I mean, he's nothing but muscle and teeth. But yeah, I mean, the ferrets came, and Vizzini just had a kick out of chasing Harvey around. That was the funniest thing I ever saw in my life. But yeah, he's up on the Rainbow Bridge now. Belle's gonna run into him again sometime. So please, if you give her some warm wishes, I would certainly appreciate it, and I know Belle would.
Yeah, so, he's duking in peace now.
He's shit all over the studio, man. I used to follow that thing around with little tissue papers to pick it up. Ferret shit everywhere, man. There's no warning it's coming either. Just big line. But yeah, we got it. It's taken care of. So, look, man, I did some soul searching over the last few days, and I went back looking at all the stuff that we've ever done, all the stuff that we've ever talked about. And the kicker with me, the thing that drives me, the thing that moves me, that makes me want to get up and keep doing this day after day after day, is talking about things that I'm passionate about. And it was crypto, until I really got to peek behind the curtain of crypto and what it is and what we're doing with it. Not the ethos. Ethos of crypto is still all the way here, right in my heart. But what we've done with it and bastardized it. It was a struggle for me to get up here and talk about crypto, anything. I just didn't care, because we called this, Belle and I called this current situation years ago, but we're screaming into the void the whole time. So once you get there and your realizations come true, nobody wants that to happen. I was hoping I was wrong the entire time, but I simply wasn't. So then we got to move on. That's really where it comes down to. Now, obviously, look, we're still web people, all the way down, Web 3 people, but we're on the right side of Web 3. And there's the right side of Web 3 and the wrong side of Web 3. Cosmos, which has been our home for years and years, is just turning into it's like California now. Everybody, it's too expensive. Nobody can afford to exist here, and they're all moving to more fertile fields. Ellis Network. You guys remember that? The old SIF chain survivors that became Ellis and spun up over here and were completely ineffective. So they announced today that they're moving over to Base. Flix is moving over to Base. Jackal is moving over to Base. Everybody's moving out. So if this continues, the only sole survivor of the cosmos is going to be Sigia Cloud. And it will be, because we are on the right side of crypto. Doesn't matter where we exist. We can be anywhere. But where I was going with that is it's very important to me that I talk about what I'm passionate about. And what I've always been incredibly passionate about is, believe it or not, libertarianism, because this is in my opinion, the only real right way. And I'm not going to, I'm not going to put rose-colored glasses on and say that all my wishes are going to come true, because I don't believe they will. But if a little bit of it comes true, even a little bit of it, that's going to get me there. So that is literally what I want to talk about. As much fun as it is to discuss the news and to talk about Trump and to bash California's bad, Texas is good, and all that other stuff, we're very, very late to that party now. This entire climate has become so polarized, and cults are built around talk show hosts as well. So you're not going to go siphon off their user base just kind of saying the same thing that they're saying, but saying it differently. I really don't have a lot of interest in doing that. But getting into the philosophy of all of it, that's where I live. That's my wheelhouse, and I've been there forever. So I'm kind of making that personal transition over that direction. I don't expect anybody to come with me, man. If you do, I appreciate it. But I'm accepting the fact that I'm starting from absolute zero here, and I will just speak my truth, and hopefully, we pick up some people and we have these discussions, because that's what we need right now more than anything else, is discussions, not arguments. We need to discuss. I'm going to point out why you're wrong. You're going to point out why I'm wrong, and we will have a discussion, see if we can find an accord. And if we can't, we're going to shake hands and just move along, because that's literally all that I'm about. So for those of you who have joined us this entire time, I cannot thank you enough for it. Thank you for the trust. Thank you for everything. We're not completely shutting out the crypto discussions. We're only going to be discussing crypto when it's relevant for us to discuss crypto. And the rest of the time, I'm going to go ahead and hit the gas on what I'm incredibly passionate about, because as long as I'm talking about and what I'm incredibly passionate about, I will continue to do it. And there's not enough voices of reason out here, so I just want to kind of do my thing. So thank you for the support. I'm going to go ahead and just carry into doing what I really, really wanted to do for a very long time, and just kind of get back to that. So if it resonates with you, great. If it doesn't, thanks for the support all these years. I'm not abandoning you, just letting you know. That's it. So today, this is interesting. One of the things that is most meaningful to me, what the most impactful thing that ever happened to me in my entire life, was when I read The Law by Frederick Bastiat. That changed me in more ways than I can even begin to describe, and I read it when I was 13 years old. So it really, really works for me, and I just wanted to discuss it. All right, it is a timely classic that every libertarian or every person should have on their shelf, or they should at least have it bookmarked somewhere on their browser. And what I'm talking about is The Law. Now, that was a fiery for the time, unbelievable 1850 pamphlet that cuts through the noise of government overreach like a hot knife through butter. In just about 50 pages, that's all he took, 50 pages, Bastiat lays out his vision for a just and enduring government. And this is one that protects individual rights without becoming a tool for plunder. And trust me, in our era of endless regulations, bailouts, and for your own good mandates, his words hit harder than ever. Now, before I get into the meat of it, I got to set the stage here a little bit, all right? Bastiat was a French economist, he was a philosopher, and he was a statesman during a time of revolutionary upheaval in Europe. France was flirting with socialism, protectionism, and all sorts of collectivist experiments that promised utopia, but they delivered misery. Does this sound familiar? Now, Bastiat saw the writing on the wall, and he penned The Law as a warning. When government strays from its proper role, society crumbles. Not some of the time, all of the time. Now, his core argument was the law should be a shield for justice, not a sword for exploitation. Now, we're going to break this down. His definition of the law, how it gets perverted, what a just government looks like, and why an enduring one must be limited. All right, so I'm saying buckle up. This is my gospel. So let's start with the fundamentals. What is the law according to Bastiat? And he does not mince words. The law is the organization of the natural right of lawful defense. And I want you to think about that. We all have God-given, or, you know what, if you prefer, natural rights to life, liberty, and property. These are gifts from these are gifts from God. These are not gifts from the state. They're inherent to our humanity. Now, Bastiat argues that in a state of nature, we'd each defend ourselves against aggression. But to live in society, we pool that defensive power into a collective force, and we call it the law. Now, its sole purpose, its only purpose, is to prevent injustice, not to create it, not to redistribute wealth, not to engineer social outcomes, just to stop people from harming each other. And he puts it beautifully. I'm quoting now. Life, liberty, and property do not exist because men have made laws. On the contrary, it was the fact that life, liberty, and property existed beforehand that caused men to make laws in the first place. Boom. Now that right there is the libertarian mic drop. Government doesn't grant rights. It protects them. A just government, then, is one that sticks to this negative role, prohibiting murder, theft, fraud, so forth. It doesn't play favorites. It doesn't pick winners and losers in the economy, and certainly doesn't use force to make you better by its standards. But here's where Bastiat gets super spicy. He warns about the perversion of the law. Now, when the law turns from protector to predator, it becomes legal plunder. So what's that, right? What is plunder? It's when the government uses its monopoly on force, and the government is the only entity on the planet that has a monopoly on force. And when it uses that monopoly to take from some and give to others, all under the guise of legality. Bastiat calls it out. The law perverted. And the police powers of the state perverted along with it. The law, I say, not only turned from its proper purpose, but made to follow an entirely contrary purpose. Do you want examples? Socialism, where the state seizes property to equalize outcomes. That's what it is. That's all it is in that little sentence right there. Protectionism, where tariffs rob consumers to prop up inefficient industries. Even philanthropy by force. Think mandatory charity through taxes. Bastiat mocks these as false philanthropy. Socialists look upon people as raw material to be formed into social combinations. You really need to listen to this, and I'm going to say it again. Socialists look upon people as raw material to be formed into social combinations. This is so true that if by chance the socialists have any doubt about the success of these combinations, they will demand that a small portion of mankind be set aside to experiment upon. Now, in a libertarian lens, that's me, this is the root of all government evil. Once the law starts plundering legally, everyone wants a piece. People demand subsidies, corporations sellouts, unions push for monopolies, and soon enough, society's a battlefield of interest groups. Now, Bastiat predicts the chaos under the pretense of organization, regulation, protection, or encouragement. The law takes property from one person and gives it to another. The law takes the wealth of all and gives it to a few, whether that be the individuals, manufacturers, store owners, artists, And who suffers? Who suffers? The forgotten man, the average Joe, footing the bill through higher taxes, through inflation, or through lost opportunities. Now, let's tie this to a just and enduring government. For Bastiat, justice means the law treats everyone equally. No privileges, no exemptions. Quoting, if every person has the right to defend, even by force, his person, his liberty, and his property, then it follows that a group of men have the right to organize and support a common force to protect these rights constantly. That's government at its best. A night watchman state. Limited to courts, limited to police and national defense. Anything more invites corruption and decay. So what about enduring? Now that's where Bastiat's optimism shines through. But it came with a very, very stern warning. A government built on justice endures because it aligns with human nature. People thrive when they're free to pursue their interests, trade voluntarily, and innovate without interference. Bastiat believed in the harmony of interests. Society is a combination of all of the individual forces. And when the law protects property and liberty, prosperity follows naturally. There is no central planning needed here. He contrasts this with socialist utopias, which collapse under their own weight. Not some of the time, all of the time. Quoting from Bastiat, the mission of the law is not to oppress persons and plunder their property, even though the law may be acting in a philanthropic spirit. Its mission is to protect persons and property. But endurance requires vigilance. Now, Bastiat, he says how democracies devolve, and they always devolve. Voters discover that they can vote themselves money from the treasury, leading to fiscal ruin. And when plunder becomes a way of life for a group of men in a society, over the course of time, they create for themselves a legal system that authorizes it and a moral code that glorifies it. Now tell me, this doesn't sound like the modern welfare state or endless wars funded by debt. Bastiat urges education and moral cessation to reverse this. Now, for libertarians today, this means spreading the word through channels like this one, spreading the word about sound money, free markets, and individual responsibility. Now, I'm going to bring this home with a little bit of real-world relevance, all right? Imagine Bastiat watching today's headlines. He would rail against central banks printing money, which is just legalized counterfeiting, plunder by inflation. He would decry occupational licensing that protects insiders at the expense of entrepreneurs. And don't get him started on universal basic income or Green New Deals. That is the law forcing you to fund someone else's vision of the good life. Bastiat's antidote, very, very simple. Shrink government back to basics. Quoting from him again, the state is the great fiction through which everybody endeavors to live at the expense of everybody else. I'm going to say that one more time. I want to make sure that this point is crystal clear. Are you listening, Belle? You ready to hear my point again?
I'm listening.
The state is the great fiction through which everybody endeavors to live at the expense of everybody else. Now, if we want an enduring society, we must reject that fiction. He also touches on the spiritual side. Bastiat was a man of faith, believing rights come from a higher power. I'm quoting. This is what he wrote. God has given to men all that is necessary for them to accomplish their destinies. He has provided a social form as well as a human form. Government shouldn't play God. It should let divine order, spontaneous order, unfold. Now, for libertarians, this resonates with Hayek's later ideas on the market as an extended order. So, in wrapping up, I know it was long. Sorry. This is what I want to talk about. But in wrapping up, Bastiat leaves us with hopes and a challenge. A just government is simple. Protect rights, punish wrongs, and get out of the fucking way. An enduring one is built on that foundation, fostering peace, prosperity, and progress. But it won't last if we let the law be perverted. Quoting Bastiat, if you suggest a doubt as to the morality of these institutions, it is boldly affirmed. That's what I'm doing right this second. It is boldly affirmed that you are a dangerous innovator, a utopian, a theorist, a subversive. You would shatter the foundation upon which society rests. And I say, don't buy it. Question everything. Read the law. It's free. It doesn't cost you anything. 50 pages. You can read it on the toilet and share it. So, folks, look, that is Bastiat in a very, very small nutshell. A blueprint for liberty. Now, if this fired you up, I really hope it did. Share it. In our comments, if we get anybody's watching. What modern law do you think Bastiat would call legal plunder? Drop it. Type it. We're going to discuss it. I guarantee you that we will. So, again, guys, I hope you enjoyed these, and I hope you can stick around with me because there's going to be an awful lot of these coming. This is it, man. This is what makes Scott Scott. This is the thing that drives me. This is the thing, literally, the thing that made me and Bell put up our entire net worth building an app, just an app. But it made us put up everything. We are 100% skin in the game to build an app to keep the government the fuck out of your business. That's how important it is to us. That's it for me. So I just wanted you guys to maybe get a taste and see where I'm coming from. This is what matters to me. That's the very basics, all right? That's like the very, very bottom line of this. It's not what goes on. Obviously, I have a lot more concerns in a lot of different directions, but that's kind of the foundation for me. Government has gone so far out of its way to become everything to everyone, and all it's managed to do is become nothing to anyone. Government is not here to help. Government is here to oppress. Not some of the time, all of the time. Just the way I see it. Belle, you got anything you want to add to that?
I mean, I'm not sure what else I could add, and you have to remember I'm a little brain dead at the moment.
No, I get it. Look, man, if I nailed it, you can just say, yes, Scott, you nailed it. That's okay. I'll take my round of applause. I'm the only one who's clapping. I just hope somebody out there got a takeaway. Just got a little bit of a takeaway. This is not a left-right thing. This is not a Republican-Democrat thing. All right, this is citizen versus government thing, and it's bigger than all of us. It is bigger than all of us. I'm a big fan of the Tytler cycle. Are you familiar with the Tytler cycle, Bill? Have you heard of the Tytler cycle?
I'm very familiar with the Tytler cycle.
I'll do a whole big piece on it, but he's nailed it, absolutely nailed it, and it was by a Scottish professor. University of Edinburgh. Back, it was in the 1800s. He was a professor of Roman antiquities, and he coined that every society that's ever existed goes through 7 distinct stages. And I'm going to cover it real quick, and then we'll get to questions if we have any. Then we'll take a break. But he posited that every society begins in bondage. Now, bondage is obviously metaphor, all right, whatever you happen to determine bondage is. For the United States of America, we had a king. All right, we had a king that was certainly not here. So sure, you could say that we were in bondage because the king who you never met, you had no obligation to, can come over here and hang you in your house. All right, that's a problem. That's bondage. But it goes from bondage to a spiritual awakening. Now, that's also a metaphor. It doesn't have to be God. It has to be whatever fires you up, whatever wakes you up from your trance and say something's got to change. And it goes from bondage to a spiritual awakening to courage. Now, courage is where the real change happens. That's where the rubber meets the road. That's when the pitchforks come out. That's when the rifles go on the shoulders. And that's where liberty or death comes from. Courage. And it goes from courage to liberty. Because once you've thrown off an oppressor, once you've thrown off oppression, you aren't going to have it again. You are now protecting life, liberty, and property. That's the thing that is most important to you. And once you've achieved liberty, you get plenty. Now, I would argue, and I'm sure I'm biased because I'm an American, but America accomplished more in 200 years as far as societal development, technical innovations, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I would argue that any country in the history of countries. Sure, I'm a little bit biased, but it is what it is. Because when you have liberty, you get plenty. Men are free to flourish. Take raw materials, turn them into goods and services, products, sell them. Everybody makes money. Problem is that it goes from plenty to apathy. That's the problem. That's where it starts. Because as soon as you hit apathy, you stop caring about what the government is doing. And these small little drip, Chinese water torture drips of squashing your rights and taking your liberty go unnoticed because things are good. They're generally good. You can deal with a little bad. It's okay. But it goes from apathy right back into dependence or right back into bondage. And I would argue that's where we are right now. If you could draw an arbitrary line between apathy, people simply not giving a shit, and bondage or dependency, we're right on that line. And anything is going to tip us one way or another. But I would argue, my guess is that we're going to tip right back into bondage. You're going to turn over everything to the government, let them make your decisions, become a cradle-to-grave society, and that's it. You'll be happy with that. That would be my argument. If you don't believe me on that, how many people, Bell, if I went out and polled the American population right now, and we grabbed 10 random people, and I asked them what the Bill of Rights is, how many of them do you think could even answer that question?
Maybe two.
Maybe two. I would argue that it would maybe be one. Now, here's my question for the rest of the world. How the fuck do you know if your rights are being violated if you don't even know what they are? I would argue Bell says two, I say one. One person would actually know what the Bill of Rights are. And of that one person, let's say we did it 100 times, maybe one of them could actually say what they are and name some of them. Even some of them. Some of them would be fine. But I'd be surprised if they do. As long as you don't know what your rights are, your rights can never be violated. Ever. Because you don't know what the hell they are. Anyway, Belle, do we got anything, or can I just cut this and play a song? I doubt we got anybody out there, man. This is heavy tonight.
All right, so two, the thumbnail for tonight's stream is not good. Do you want the U.S. government looking at you before you even launch Sigia?
Look away. Look away. I don't care. Look, you know what's good for getting an app and something like this out? Publicity. Arrest me. Make it a big public trial. Make it do all of those things. All right? Do all of those things. And I guarantee you this app ends up on everybody's phone quicker than, much faster than you could ever stop it from happening. It's decentralized. It's never going away. I am a 26-year Navy vet. I'm not afraid of my government. I shouldn't be afraid of my government. And the fact that I should have to even have this be a concern for me illustrates the point that I just made perfectly. Illustrates my point perfectly. Belle, please carry on.
All right, G. Torres, property taxes don't feel right at all.
No, and they're never going to go away, bro. Ever, 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 ever. You will never own your property. You will never own your property. You are simply renting it from the state forever. Forever. It's never going to stop.
And that's why you and I disagree, and I say we're a little closer to bondage than we are apathy or dependence. Because okay, if you don't pay property taxes, the state can come in and take everything you own.
Take everything you own. Take everything you own. You bet. They can do this endlessly, unless someone decides, no, I'm not leaving, not giving up. That's it. That's the thing that happens. That's your Waco moment. That thing that happened out in Nevada moment when they were going to slaughter all that guy's cattle, and he said, nope, you ain't going to do that. Everybody came out, rallied around, that whole ship blew over. But we also know how Waco went. Thank you, Janet Reno. Thank you for Bill Clinton. We remember that very, very, very well. So, or Ruby Ridge. I mean, I can go on and on and on about this. So now I have no illusion of I'm the guy that's going to change it all. I have no illusion of that. But I'm also not going to sit here and kowtow. I'm not going to hide. I'm done with that. I'm done with that. What we have and what we built works. It's out there, and nothing will stop it. Nothing will stop it. We're decentralized. We can distribute anywhere, anyway, to anyone, and nothing can stop it. So, Pandora's box is open now. Sorry. Belle, carry on.
That's actually it for the moment.
Yeah, I thought this one was going to be a little bit slow. Anyway, talk for a minute, Belle. I'm going to cue up the next song. We're going to come on to the next segment. I'm having fun. I don't know if you can tell I'm very, very passionate about this particular subject. And when Belle's back after she's over her grieving, I think she's going to get a lot more fired up than I am. You believe me, she takes this a lot more seriously than I do. So, yeah, Belle, talk for a minute. I'm going to cue up the next song. Go ahead, and I'll just go ahead and play from over there, Belle.
So I'm also going to make another point. I am sick of industries constantly being vulnerable because they do have government backdoors in them that allow your data to be compromised regularly. That's part of what's wrong with healthcare records. That's part of what's wrong with financial records. That's why those are such huge hits with the black market. I'm sick of it.
Isn't it funny? It all comes down to money. Every single time, in every single way, shape, or form. Once you have all the money in the world, though, then all you want is power. Government has all the money in the world. So the only thing that they can get, their dopamine hit, is simply power. That's it. They just want more and more and more. And they would love this cradle-to-grave society. We have a monarchy. All right? We have a monarchy here now in everything but name. But we have a monarchy, all right? If you're not in the club, you ain't getting in the club, all right? No plebs allowed. That's kind of where it is. So anyway, guys, if you could, got a special song for you. I don't know if I sent you this one, Taurus, or not, but very special song. Hope you enjoy it. We're going to be back. I got a lot more to talk about tonight, man. So we're going to be right back. Hope you guys enjoy here on the podcast on the KPOD network.
Telling us a future, but the price we pay. No freedom in the land of the brave, they say. But the brave ones left, man, they locked away. No trust, no faith, man, they feeding us lies. No trust, no faith, see the truth in the skies. No trust, no faith, just
feel the weight, heavy plate crushing my vertebrae. Suits in the room, signing laws that we gotta obey. Fingerprints, database, tracking every trace. Freedom in the chokehold, mask face, no escape. They tax the air I breathe, sell lies to believe. Invisible chains tighter than my shirt sleeve. Strangled by the power, they devour every hour. The world a garden, they the weeds that overflow. They grind me down, dust on the street. Every move I make, they delete. Tell me to stand, but cutting my feet. System red, I can't compete. The boot on my neck, it won't let me breathe. Dreams crushed under the heel, can't achieve. Push to the edge, still they deceive. Boot on my neck, won't let me leave. They write the rules, but they bend them for their kind. I'm out here running laps, they chillin', reclining. They call it democracy, but the lies intertwining. Lobbyists in their pockets, strings always binding. Paper stack higher, bills unpaid. My worth judged by the sense I made. I'm screaming in the void, unheard parade. Injustice served cold, the rich get filleted. Every protest, they send a fleet. Every cry, they stamp repeat. They build the walls, we can't retreat. The struggle's the same on every street. The boot on my neck, it won't let me breathe. Dreams crushed under the heel,
like Jack and baby break. So play. English way. Hey, here, better die.
Ladies and gentlemen, I dropped my water. Ladies and gentlemen, truth seekers, defenders of liberty, welcome back to the podcast. And thank you. And this is where we cut through the fog of statism and we shine a light on the ideas that keep us free. Now, I don't think this is the case, but if it is, if you're new here, smash the subscribe button, turn on notifications. And we're going to dive into the comments right after this because we are tackling a beast that's been devouring. This is for you, Toot. Devouring rational discourse in modern politics, and that's called propaganda. Specifically, how the politicians wield it like master swordsmen, slicing through facts, emotions, and freedoms to push an agenda that balloons government power at the expense of individual rights. Did I mention I'm a big fan of individual rights? I think that came up. Belle, did I mention that at all? I mean, are you familiar with it? Yeah, I thought I might have. So in this era of endless spin, 2025, with its echo chambers amplified by AI and social media, understanding this is crucial for any liberty-minded individual worth their salt. Now, I'm going to break down what propaganda is, how politicians deploy it effectively, real-world examples from our current mess, and why it spells trouble for liberty. Now, stick around, all right? This might just arm you for the battles ahead, and they are battles. So, before we can get into it, we have to define our terms. Propaganda isn't just lies. It's the art of shaping perceptions to serve a cause, often by appealing to emotions over reasoning, repeating half-truths until they feel like gospel, and silencing opposition. Now, Edward Bernays, the father of modern PR, called it the conscious and intelligent manipulation of the organized habits and opinions of the masses. Now, historically, it's been a tool of authoritarians. Think Soviet posters glorifying the state or Nazi rallies demonizing outsiders. But in modern America, our America, the politicians have perfected it into a subtle, pervasive machine. They're not goose-stepping in the streets. They are curating your feed, your classroom, and your news cycle to make big government seem like the compassionate choice. Now, how do they do it so effectively? That's probably the best question, isn't it? Let's start with control of the narrative hubs, mainstream media, Hollywood, academia, and big tech. Now, studies show that Democrats are far more likely to trust and consume major news sources than Republicans, creating a feedback loop where left-leaning stories dominate. Now, I'm not picking a side here, just stating the facts. Pew Research in 2025 highlighted this political gap where outlets like CNN or the New York Times are seen as reliable by the left, but biased by the right. The asymmetry isn't accidental. It's engineered. It is engineered. The left frames issues in moral absolutes. You're either with justice or you're a bigot. They rebrand radical policies with soft euphemisms. Equity instead of forced redistribution. Investment for trillion-dollar spending sprees. Repetition seals the deal. Climate crisis. Systemic racism. Hammered daily until doubt feels immoral. Social media supercharges this. Algorithms on platforms like Facebook push users into bubbles. But research from Harvard's Berkman Klein Center shows the rights ecosystem is more isolated. while the left integrates with centrist media, amplifying their reach. Now, the far leftists, they exploit this with viral tactics. Think memes, celebrity endorsements, and outrage cycles. Cancel culture acts as enforcement. Dissent gets labeled hate speech or misinformation, triggering deplatforming. Now, a 2025 study in digital journalism analyzed Twitter. It's X now, obviously. I still call it Twitter. But it analyzed the accusations of media bias, finding that the left-wing bias claims dominate from the right. But the left counters by dismissing them as far-right paranoia. You ever hear that before? Belle, you ever hear that? Far-right paranoia? Does that ring a bell with you at all? You're not on the screen, honey. Yeah, you got to say the words.
That does sound familiar.
All right. You know what? It's brilliant. All right. Turn criticism into proof of the critic's extremism. Now, education is another battlefield. All right. From K to 12 to universities, progressive indoctrination shapes young minds. Curricula push diversity, equity, and inclusion. DEI as gospel, framing free markets as oppressive, and government intervention as salvation. I want you to think about that. A Reddit thread from early 2025 asked about left versus right propaganda, with users noting the left's emotional appeals win hearts in schools, while logic-based conservative arguments get sidelined. Now, by college, students emerge viewing libertarian ideals like limited government as selfish or privileged. Now, let's hit some 2025 examples. I want to make this real. Take Project 2025, the Heritage Foundation's policy blueprint for conservative governance. The left turned it into a boogeyman, claiming it's Trump's secret fascist playbook to burn down government and impose theocracy. Democrats poured millions into ads fear-mongering about it, with posts on X going viral, absolutely viral. One from @Keenly Brenda in 2024, still echoing today, listed horrors like banning abortion nationwide and building concentration camps for immigrants. But fact checks show it's not Trump's plan. He distanced himself. I don't know what his real mind is. Ask him. Ask the man. But he distanced himself. And many proposals are standard conservative fare, like cutting bureaucracy. Yet the left's spin worked. It scared voters, with Axios reporting a Project 2025 ad blitz to mobilize supporters through fear. Now, I see the irony. Project 2025 actually pushes for less government, but propaganda painted it as authoritarian. Climate alarmism is another gem. The left's crisis narrative justifies massive regulation, green subsidies, and energy controls that crush markets. In 2025, today, with global temps debated, progressives, they doubled down. They're using terms like existential threat to push policies that I view as crony capitalism and nothing more. Handouts to solar firms while taxing fossil fuels into oblivion. Another X post from Crazy World 673 accused the left of 30 years of fear-mongering to tank birth rates and inflate costs. Why effective? It's effective because it preys on guilt. Who wants to be the villain destroying the planet? Identity politics. Now, this is a masterclass in division. Politicians weaponize race, gender, and sexuality to portray conservatives and me, libertarians, as oppressors. Wokeness and DEI are rebranded as anti-racism, but critics on X point out how buzzwords like the border or transgender fear are used to smear opponents without addressing policy. Post-election analysis showed this alienated moderates, but it rallied the base by making politics a moral crusade. Why is this so damn effective? Because emotions trump facts. Now, a 2023 study in Public Opinion Quarterly found conservatives discern truth better, but are less swayed by congruent news, while liberals buy into biased narratives more readily. The left traps and taps virtue signaling. They signal you're kind by supporting big government fixes. It creates tribalism. Us, compassionate progressives, versus them, heartless right-wingers. Plus, they own the cultural high ground. Hollywood films, Netflix shows, pop stars, all echo lefty tropes. They are normalizing statism. Now, from my point of view, this is absolute poison. Propaganda paves the way for expanded state power, more regulations, taxes, surveillance under safety. It erodes free speech, markets, and choice. Now remember, libertarians aren't left or right. I am not left or right. Not even a little bit. I'm for voluntary cooperation, not coerced equity. But the left spin makes us look like enablers of inequality, when really we're the antidote to both sides' authoritarianism. Defenders on the left say it's not propaganda, it's inclusive language, vital for justice. But a Washington Post piece in May 2025 argued jargon like intersectionality isn't alienating, guys. It's empowering. But you see, that's the trap. They redefine critique as bias. Progressives in Dissent magazine claim they're defending progressivism against smears. But as conservatives note, this hides the agenda, which is more control, less freedom. Guys, the government's propaganda machine is effective because it's insidious. It is wrapped in empathy, backed by institutions. But libertarian here, all right? I counter with truth. Expose the spin, champion facts, and hopefully live free. Read Bastiat, read Hayek. Question everything. That's all I'm saying, is question everything. Now, we are so far over the belt of what is real and the way people see reality. I mean, we're gone. We are just completely over the rainbow. What I'm saying right now, and you know, bless you, Toot, I appreciate it. I appreciate the call out and I appreciate the warning, but it illustrates my point perfectly. If I need to be nervous about even saying these things, then what kind of country are we living in here? What kind of country are we even living in? This is the hill I will die on. You guys have heard me say it many, many times. That ain't my hill, that ain't my hill, that ain't my hill. This is the hill I'll die on. I spent 26 years overseas doing all the shit nobody else seems to want to do except for my brothers and sisters in the military. Didn't like it. Didn't care for it. But I did it because it needs to be done. But suddenly I have to come home and watch what I say. Suddenly I have to be careful that I might offend somebody in the government or that I might offend anybody at all. You have a real easy choice here. If you don't like what I'm saying, fucking leave. There are 1,000 other channels out there that will say exactly what you want to hear. But I'm done pandering, and I'm done saying we're only going to talk about things people want to hear. I'm done with that. What's the point of that, Bill? I mean, what's our point at that? We're grifters at that. We're an echo chamber. I never wanted an echo chamber. I wanted free thought. There is a way out of this. There's a way out of this for everybody. But it takes courage. It takes courage to sit up here and say, nope, you're wrong. I'm right. And you're all wrong. And I'm happy to do that. I will talk to 0 people and I will go on for 5 goddamn hours saying the same thing. Because at least I know that my words are recorded and that they'll never, ever go away. And that if we send them up on Sigya, they physically cannot go away. So we've built our own little path to make sure that what we do, what we think, what we say, how we act can never, ever, ever go away. That's what we're here for. That's what I'm here for now. So, yeah, again, I know this is going to be rough for, it's going to be rough for a lot of our regular viewers, and we're still going to bring you guys some crypto stuff. It's important. I'd much rather talk about the crypto stuff on Spaces, though, Bell, and save the big studio and all this other stuff for the fun stuff. This is what I consider the fun stuff. I don't know if you guys can tell. I'm very, very fired up right now. That's really all it takes. Anyway, Bell, do we have any questions, comments, concerns, or observations?
We have just a few. So Bradley Coe, regarding the song that we played during break, banger. Yep. We need somewhere we can download and vote on all these tracks, guys.
Well, Belle, would you like to set something like that up? We can put them on the Discord. We can do whatever you want. I actually upload all of these things to my Sigya Cloud account, and I'm happy to share them with anybody. Just give me your Sigya user ID. I'll share the file with you. It plays straight from the app. I mean, there's absolutely no issue with that. Oh, by the way, I did release that today. It's kind of that cool feature. I put the video out. You can't screenshot anything in the Sigya app anymore. You can't screen record it. You can't screenshot it. We're blocking out everything. So we figured this is the last level of privacy we can actually give you. After that, it's up to you. It's up to you to kind of protect your data. So if you see somebody over your shoulder with a cell phone that's recording your phone, maybe tell them to go fuck themselves. That'd probably be a good way to protect your data. But aside from that we've done all we can. That's it. That was the very last bullet, that was the very last round in the chamber. And after this, all we're doing is driving to release. So yeah, if you somebody shares a document with you and you try to do it, you're not going to see it. It's not going to be there. Something will hit your phone storage, but it'll just be a blank document. And if you try to do it with the screen capture, we completely blur out the whole thing, so you can't do it with the screen capture. Or meaning that you're recording your screen, it won't work, not inside Sigya. So I think that's pretty cool. Anyway, Belle, carry on.
Fisherman, I'd like to hear Scott and Little D talk about this stuff.
Dude, this is all I'm going to talk about now for a bit. Like I said, we're gonna mix it up. All right, we're gonna keep it going, but just assume that Thursday night is Libertarian night. All right, and I'm going full bore. I'm not holding back. I don't care. I live in dread fear of my government, and that in itself is the problem. Is the fact that I do fear my government, but there comes a time that you just make a stand. That enough's enough. Enough is enough. And yeah, this is my way of making a stand. Am I going to change the world? No. Am I going to get black bagged? Probably someday, eventually. But that's it. That's my hill to die on. Anyway, carry on, Bill.
Mackenzie, divide and conquer. Very long in the making to near perfection.
Yeah, and that's really, really, really what they're good at. The government doesn't sell solutions, man. They sell fear. That's it. And they don't even really debate or work on any kind of reasonable answers. They're not saying, I'm not running on anything. Everybody runs against something. Look at Harris and Trump. I have no idea what Harris's policies are to this moment. With all the word salad bullshit she kept doing, I have no idea where she stood on anything. The only thing, her entire platform was, I'm not him. That was it. And Trump's was really no better. His whole platform was, you don't want her. That was it.
And I'm not her, and I'm not Joe Biden.
Yeah, I mean, that was it. That was effectively his entire platform. And, it worked. I would love somebody to get up. The last person I truly believed would have made a difference? The very last person. You don't even remember him, Bell. I think you might have been too young. Ross Perot. Ross Perot. That was
I remember Ross Perot.
That was the last guy that went up there with his own money and said, I want to be president, and here's how I will fix everything. He actually laid out the plan. He didn't snipe the other people up there. He didn't do any of that. He said, this is my plan. And it made sense. He even came out and said, I'm going to tax the shit out of you. Right out the gate, I'm going to raise taxes on this, on gas, on this. We have to pay down this debt. If we don't pay down this debt, we will have no choice but to keep the money printers going, and eventually it will become completely unmanageable. What's our current internet? What's our national debt? It's about 33 trillion, isn't it? About 33 trillion. You can look it up, but I think it's around there.
A little more than that now, but yeah, I'll look.
Yeah, isn't that weird? It turns out Perot was right. He said if you don't stop it now, it will become unmanageable. And $33 trillion. I mean, that's more money. You couldn't even imagine that much money. You can't even, humans, we can't visualize it. It's
36.93 trillion.
36.93 trillion. So it turns out maybe we should have just ripped off the bandage way back then. Maybe we should have. But it didn't work. It divided the electorate. Clinton got in, and we all remember how that worked out. He got to get the whole biggest takeaway I got from Clinton is that he got blown in the Oval Office. And it just goes to his complete incompetence that you couldn't cover that up. That's the only thing that bothered me about that. I think the president should be able to, receive that kind of gratification when he needs it. I mean, Jesus, his elbow is right next to the big red button. So sure, man, if you need to calm down, I'm okay with that. But and it ain't gonna be Hillary doing it. But it's my whole beef with that whole thing is that you were so incompetent you couldn't cover that up. I mean, that one little it doesn't matter. Anyway, go ahead, Belle.
All right, dude. I appreciate your attitude and desire to sacrifice. I just want the Hill to not be destroyed in the process. All good points for real. I can't refute that the USA is a damn mess with corruption.
Yeah, and look, Occam's razor, you guys know I'm a fan. How can people spend millions and millions and millions and millions of dollars to get elected to a position where the salary will never, ever compensate what you spent to get the job? Do you ever think about that? Does anybody ever actually consider that you spend $80, $100, $180, $240 million to get elected as president? Up to $500 million to get elected as president for a job that pays $400,000 a year. Meaning, at best, you'll recover $1.6 million of the $500 million that it took you to get elected. Senators, no different. Congressmen, no different. Did you ever step back and wonder why this happens and how this happens? And what is the point? People do not go into government to make change. They go in because they want to be on that side of the hustle. And that's all it is. I cannot remember. I'm trying to think real hard here, and I'm sure somebody can fact check me on this. The last time a senator or a sitting congressman declared bankruptcy, I can't remember the last time. I mean, it simply doesn't come up. But you spent everything, multi-millions of dollars getting a job that pays $180,000 a year. You went into debt up to your eyeballs, but for some reason you walk out a hell of a lot wealthier than you walked in. Just something to think about. Go ahead, Bill.
Bradley Coe, what's scary was seeing Biden in that state, and most of America and the world believed he was calling the shots.
Oh yeah, man. No, that was Weekend at Bernie's shit. Come on. And I love that movie, by the way. That is great. That's what it should have been. I know there were a lot of memes going around about that, Bell, but yeah, that's what it should have been. That was Weekend at Bernie's, man. That was the most empty suit I've ever seen up there. And if something came up and the big red button had to be, it wouldn't be him. It would be, I don't know, he'd be tucked away for a nap and somebody else would push a button. But that was ruled by committee. It was not ruled by a president, man. That was ridiculous. Go ahead, Bill.
During the first presidential debates where he was performing, I noticed things that with his cognitive ability that I didn't like. And I was sitting there going, okay, red flag back then.
Oh, God, he was a mushroom up there. Let's be real. He was an absolute mushroom. He couldn't weeks.
I'm saying before he got elected president, even during those debates, I noticed things I did that set the senses tingling.
You know, he's a political creature. He grew up in politics. That's it. It's the only thing he's ever done is politics and beltway shit. So, yeah, I mean, like I said, none of it surprises me. The only thing that surprised me is that we let it carry on. That was the only thing that surprised me. Anyway, carry on. Oh, carry on, Bell.
Bradley Coe, you guys think the whole system will collapse?
Over time, absolutely. no society has ever carried on. They always collapse in one way or another. I thought I thought Rome was about the most perfect society that could ever exist, considering the time when it came in, considering its time of power. I thought it was almost close to the as perfect a society as you can get. Sure, they had lots of atrocities and lots of other things, man. You're comparing morals from today versus morals of 0 AD. All right, it's a different time. But yeah, even Rome collapsed under its own weight. As soon as people start to realize that they can vote themselves money from the public trust, from the public treasury, eventually that's it. And by the end, Roman currency was effectively worthless because they still kind of had a gold standard. And when people started finding out that the Roman coins were less than 10% of actual precious metals, the rest of it was just lead. You get runaway inflation. There's no control. Soldiers are rioting. I mean, shit goes out of hand, and boom, the whole thing collapses. And sure, I mean, it'll likely happen here. It'll happen under our own weight. Nobody wishes for it, man. Look, I've seen war, babe. I've seen destruction. I've seen atrocities. And no, I'm not wishing that on anybody. But it's going to come to a point where you're actually going to say we're going to have a peaceful transition of power, or the whole thing's going to burn down. And ask yourself this question, ask yourself this question. Would the government simply allow itself to be reset, or would the government fight tooth and nail to protect what it stole from you? Which way is it going to go? Answer that honestly, and I think you got my answer. Belle, please carry on.
So going back to Bradley Coe's thought, okay, the Tytler cycle, which has been well documented, that literally studied several different civilized societies throughout history. Tytler actually did state that the Tytler cycle lasts about 200 years. So if we've got one thing going for us, it's that it's taking us longer.
Yeah,
but we're still gonna get there. It's cyclical. It has been a pattern repeated throughout history over and over and over again.
Yeah, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Always. And everything collapses. It resets. It goes through something. I always find it funny how much faith people have in the government. I always find that hysterical, how much faith people actually have in the government. And every time that comes up, I just say New Orleans. I just say Hurricane Katrina. And for some reason, I get these blank stares, and it's always but what? This is precisely why you have a government. And as soon as the hurricane hit, as soon as the levees broke, as soon as that water came in, they ran like fucking rabbits. And they will do it again and again and again. The one time that you need government, where were they at? Gone, heading north, running away. Every man for himself. That's what happens. It happened before. It will happen again. So, no, man, we seem to have put government and government employees up on this ridiculously high pedestal that they can do absolutely no wrong, when it turns out that they can do absolutely nothing. When shit gets bad, they can do absolutely nothing. And until you reconcile that in your head, we're going to keep this whole thing rolling. Belle, carry on.
All right, two, with a couple of comments. The first one, politicians run to become part of that big club George Carlin was talking about. And then, yeah, they will protect their positions at all costs. It's that far gone.
And yes, they will protect their positions at all costs. That's it. They've achieved their greatness. They won the life lottery. They've completely gotten to the point where there are the gardeners, and they will never go back to the garden. We're the garden. I'm the weeds. Belle's the weeds. They're going to hoe us out eventually. But yeah, they're never going to go back from absolute rulers to absolute plebs, because it is that binary. There's really not a lot of middle ground in here anymore. You are either in control or you are controlled. And that's it. Nobody's going to step out of that position of power willingly. And you notice how they never, ever leave the Beltway. Jasmine Crockett, she just got gerrymandered. All right, she's gone. She will not win the next election. She's done. But she will never leave the Beltway, They will find her a lobbyist position. They will find her some activist position. But she will never, ever, ever separate herself from the government largesse. That's it. For life. You get up there, you get elected once, and you are set for life. You're set, your family's set, everybody's set. Your children will take your place. You know what that's called? When your children take your place in a governing body, it's called a monarchy. And that's what we have. In everything but name, it's called a monarchy. I want you to think real hard. And listen, I'm bookmarking this right now. Listen to when people start talking about Eric Trump for president. We had Bushes, we had Clintons, over and over and over. The same people that we are just simply recycling through there. It's like brand recognition, and that you simply do not trust outsiders. When the fuck did that happen? Now, I know when it happened. I'm not going to discuss it tonight, though. Maybe we'll save that for the next show. Anyway, carry on, Bill.
That's it for the moment.
Perfect. Well, we are a little bit over time. I hope you guys enjoyed the show tonight. I don't want to be a martyr. I don't want to go down. I don't want to have the cuffs placed on me. Man, look, I'm not the guy that's going to survive in prison. All right? That ain't me. So I don't want any of that. But I'm not going to live in fear either. I'm simply not going to. If you said, if this is not the type of content that you want to be around, I certainly respect your rights and your right to ignore me. That's what being a libertarian is about. That's what liberty is about. Is your right, your freedom to be free has to include your freedom to be free from me. I absolutely believe that all the way down. So if you appreciate what we're doing here, please stick around. If you don't, babe, no hard feelings, man. I get it. I'm not for everybody, and we're a little bit more hardcore than most. But sometimes someone's got to say the bad things, and I'm okay being that guy. So anyway, Belle, if you could talk us up, take us out. Had a wonderful time, guys. Go ahead and get to it, Belle.
All right. Again, ladies and gentlemen, for those of you who joined us this evening, we cannot say thank you guys enough. We do appreciate each and every one of you guys and the comments and questions you send our way. Now, with that being said, we are going to be back on Monday night at 7 p.m. Central Standard Time. In between now and then, if you guys have any other comments, questions, or concerns, definitely don't hesitate to reach out to either Scott or myself, Scott@thepodcast.com or Bella@thepodcast.com, and we'll get those answered for you. Again, we can't thank you enough, guys, and we'll see you on Monday.